Welcome to Fiction Kitchen from the Creation Station, where we make dishes from popular culture. Steven Universe is one of my favorite cartoons. It's quite funny and silly while offering heartfelt messages and positivity. There's a particular episode of Steven Universe where Steven's friend Lars is tasked with baking a foodstuff for a potluck. With some hesitation, he chooses to bake an Ube Roll, a treat he enjoyed in his youth. For today's Fiction Kitchen, we'll be making an Ube Roll. Our recipe is based on the Binging with Babish recipe, with only a few slight changes. For the recipe, you'll need 3 tablespoons of ube powder, 8 large eggs, 4 for the cake and 4 for the frosting, 1½ cups of sugar, 1/2 for the cake and 1 for the frosting, 40 grams of cake flour, which works out to about 1/3 of a cup, 1/2 of a teaspoon of ube flavoring, 2 tablespoons of cooking oil, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 4 sticks of unsalted butter, more or less at room temperature, or at least softened, 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, and 1/2 cup of water. It would also be very helpful if you had access to a stand mixer with a whisk or some kind of equivalent, parchment paper, 1/2 or 1/4 sized sheet pans, cooling racks, saucepans, instant read thermometers, and spatula. Please be careful of hot. Bring your 1/2 cup of water to a boil and gather your powdered ube. Once the water is boiling, go ahead and add the powdered ube, and I recommend whisking it together really quick. It will quickly form a sort of clay-like consistency, and you go ahead and cover it up and set it aside. Preheat your oven to 325 degrees. In your stand mixer or mixing bowl, go ahead and add the egg whites and cream of tartar and mix on a medium speed. Once your egg whites start to get a little frothy, slowly add in the sugar while mixing. Keep mixing the meringue for another 3 to 4 minutes until you get soft peaks or maybe even a little bit more firm. While mixing, add your egg yolks in one at a time until each of them is combined. Next, we sift in the cake flour. If you have the clearance for it, go ahead and sift it in while the mixer is running, but if you're like me, you're going to have to stop and sift into flour and mix, and stop and sift in flour and mix, and that's not a big deal. Next, we're going to add in the hydrated ube from before. Then the cooking oil, mix to combine. And we'll add in the liquid ube flavor, mix to combine. Prepare your baking sheet by greasing it and lining it with parchment paper. Pour the batter into the pan, kind of spreading it as evenly as you can across the pan and tapping it against the counter a couple times to get the air bubbles out. For this recipe, in these ratios, in a half sheet pan at this temperature, it seemed to take about 7 to 12 minutes to fully cook the cake. I would start checking it after about 7 minutes. You're looking for the middle to spring back when you poke at it, and for a knife inserted into the middle to come out cleanly. Pull the cake out of the oven and put it on the cooling rack to cool to room temperature. Now we'll make the frosting. Combine the 4 eggs, 1 cup of sugar and vanilla extract in a heat-proof bowl. Bring a saucepan roughly halfway filled up with water to a simmer on your stovetop. Place the mixing bowl with our frosting mixture over the saucepan, double boiler style, and whisk steadily. Continue whisking until the egg yolk kind of gets more watery and a little frothy, and at that point start checking the temperature. We're looking for the egg mixture to get up to 160 degrees. When it is at 160 degrees, you can pull the egg mixture off of the double boiler and begin mixing in your stand mixer or hand mixer at a medium speed for roughly 5 minutes, or until the mixture is doubled or tripled in volume and is roughly room temperature. Once those conditions are met, switch to a low-medium mixing speed and add the softened butter, 1/2 stick at a time, waiting for the butter to become incorporated into the mix before adding more. Once your cake is cool, you're going to want to peel the parchment paper off of it. Spread the frosting over most of the cake, leaving about 1/2 of an inch unfrosted along one of the shorter sides. Once the cake is frosted, we'll begin the roll up by forming a bead at the end. We're going to kind of glue this original fold in with the frosting before we start rolling more properly. Once you have that fold formed, you can more or less just kind of roll it up and see how it goes. If your roll up doesn't work out, remember that it's still cake. You can eat it. You can top it at the end with a little more frosting. I used a cookie scoop to help me. Cut the ends off and you have yourself a pretty cake to share. Check us out on social media, and if you're local to us, why don't you come in and see what we got on offer over here at the Creation Station. Have a wonderful day.